Hey everybody, welcome back to the Conscious Spirit Podcast. I'm Mari-Lyn. I'm going to talk recovery and the holidays because today, as I record this is um, the 4th of July here in the States. And my husband and I we're old and we don't do anything. We don't go out. We don't do anything. We used to. Um, 4th of July for us used to be a huge party night, not during the day. Um, Back in the day, we were skydivers, and so we would jump, and jumping and drinking, they do not mix. Never did it. Nobody drank until everybody um, had finished jumping for the day. Um, but oh boy, we would spend the day skydiving and then we would barbecue and we would watch fireworks and we'd have bottle rocket fights and there was so much drinking going on. Wow. And, you know, part of me misses all of the fun that went along without the alcohol. But, that was part of the whole gig. Which a lot of holidays, I don't care where you are in the world, holidays typically involve alcohol. And as an alcoholic, I know firsthand how difficult it can be. Number one, when you're in that place of thinking, I shouldn't be drinking anymore, I have a problem, and I have to really temper. There were years where I would temper my in public or with family drinking because I knew it was going to happen. So I would have bare bones minimum because I couldn't go without. Um, because I was the only alcoholic in the family. So I would have, what everybody else had, I would do, and that was fine because I knew as soon as I got home, my brandy bottle was waiting for me. So that was all good. But it's still difficult. The more, the closer you are to your bottom, the harder it gets to maintain and to abstain and to act like you're normal and like everything's fine because it's not fine. But when nobody knows around you, because not all alcoholics make it be known to the world that I cannot hold my liquor. Some of us are really good at hiding it until we are home and alone and safe. And then all bets are off. So when you're getting close to that bottom, it can be really hard. I know. In early sobriety, mm, it can be really hard. I don't know how long it was before I stopped being uncomfortable when alcohol was brought out. And there was a period of time where I asked my family, please don't bring alcohol. And I'm going to say, for the most part, I think they respected my wishes every time I asked it. It wasn't I asked it once and it was carried through for the duration. But every time I asked it, they did. They respected my wishes. Now I can go be with family, and if they're drinking, again, I'm the only alcoholic, so nobody's getting drunk. They'll have, it's typically wine that they will have. Um, Sometimes when I travel to other family in the South, there's hard alcohol, but there's no drunkenness and there's no grossness. So, but I'm okay with it. I am healed enough. I am solid enough in my sobriety that I can go into a bar, I can go to a restaurant, there can be alcohol around me. Um, and I'm okay. I'm not triggered by it. Excuse me. Now, to add to that, yes, there are times where I see somebody imbibing and I'm like, oh man, I know that taste and that would taste really good. But then I play it through and I remember, and so it's just not a thing. But I do know the struggle and I know how hard it can be. I also know how easy it is to isolate, especially at holiday time, to not want to go through the hassle of going to meet with people and you know they're going to be drunk and they're not going to be fun. The fun factor lessens and lessens as you watch this drunkenness happen. And I gotta say, sometimes it's okay to say no and just isolate and not go. But there does come a point where you have to weigh your isolation against human connection. And that human connection is so important. I know for me, in my 15 years of sobriety, man, I have chosen isolation more times than I care to say. And when you start isolating and isolating and isolating, that becomes a comfort zone. And it's not really the healthiest thing to do. Now, I can't say that I isolated because of alcohol, although it's a contributing factor. So there is such a thing as attending a function for a limited amount of time. You go, you get all of your connecting and networking and buzzing around with people done as soon as you can. And then when the alcohol is like prevalent, peace out. Say your goodbyes. It's not uncommon. Alcohol isn't the first thing that's brought out, right? There's food and there's communicating and there's sharing and whatever. And then eventually the alcohol comes out. Well, the alcohol comes out. Maybe that's your cue to leave. Everybody's going to be different. But when you do start going out to functions and to get that human connection that is so important on these holidays, have a game plan. Have a boundary. This is my boundary that I'm not willing to suffer through. Or have a safe word, have a friend, phone a friend, have a lifeline somewhere, whether there's someone that's going to be with you. I always had my husband with me, but there were still times I would have a friend that I could call. And it was typically somebody who was also in recovery, who knew what I was feeling, who knew what I was going through, and who could tell me the truth of get out of your head. I did go to a function one time. I don't even think this was a holiday. I think this was a corporate function from where my husband was working at the time. And it was at a bowling alley. And I had to leave the immediate area where the function was. And I went down to the bowling alley, and it's like, oh my God, everybody that's bowling is drinking beer. And I was so triggered. And I finally called her and she said, why are you whining? You're in your head. Do you want to drink? No. Are you having fun? Well, if I can get over the alcohol piece, it's okay. Yeah. Can you leave? Well, no, my husband can't leave yet. Well, then what's your problem? Change your mindset. And in the moment, I was really angry with her. And at the same time, her advice worked. So having that friend, um, having that person that will be honest with you, not somebody who, maybe it's somebody who's going to coddle you. But for me, this was someone who was going to be honest with me and kind of shake me out of, get out of your pity party, sister. You're sober. You want to be sober. You don't want to go back to drinking. These drunks are irritating to you. So change your perspective. You're there for your husband. Just relax and enjoy what you can about the evening. So that's what I did. Um, had I known what I know now, I probably would not have gone to the function, or I would have done things very differently. I would have changed my perspective ahead of time. But back then, early enough in sobriety, I didn't realize back then that I could really change my perspective. And I think I need to write this down because I think this would be a good podcast for Pam and I to talk about specifically on how do we change our perspective? How do we change the lens that is behind our eye? That lens that dictates how we see things. Because I know for me, I see things very typically, and this is changing. I see things through the past. I don't look forward. I see things through the past. And I got to tell you, that is no good. No good for me. I can't imagine it's good for anybody. And I'm changing it. And it just very, in the last few days, came to my mind that that's how I look at what's happening. Now, I know we only know the past, right? And that's how we judge things. That's how we know what we're looking at. However, we don't want to be attaching our wounding and our traumas and our triggers and everything that we do and that we look at from that past perspective. Because what we're doing in that is we're trying to change the past. We can't. We cannot change the past. We cannot change that we are alcoholic. We cannot change that we're struggling, that we're wanting to be sober, that we are sober. We can only continue to move forward. And for those of you that are struggling to be sober or struggling in sobriety, you're uncomfortable, I ask you to do this. Shift your perspective away from the past toward the future. That might mean you need some closure, might mean that you need some more healing or some healing. Maybe you're sober and you haven't done any healing, and that can be really hard. But please know, I don't care how far, how many years of sobriety you have. At some point, it's a struggle to be sober and watch alcohol happening around you. This has to be the case with any substance. It absolutely has to be. I'm going to say the difference is alcohol is the acceptable one. Alcohol is everywhere. You know, you're not going to go to a restaurant and find everybody doing lines of cocaine at their table. You're not going to go to a restaurant and find a cornucopia of pills at everybody's place setting. You could walk into a restaurant, though, and see an alcoholic beverage in front of every single person that's sitting there. It's possible, and it can suck. So, what do? The very first thing is you remind yourself that you are sober and that you put you first. You are putting yourself ahead of the alcohol, ahead of the addiction. You are more important than the drink. Right there. You are more important. You have more value. You set your boundaries of what you will not tolerate in a social setting with alcohol. And if you come across that boundary and somebody's obliterated and fallen down sloppy drunk and that's your boundary, well, then you say your goodbyes or you don't and you leave. You go and you connect with as many people as you can early. So when it's time for you to go, you can go. Giving yourself grace. Isolating from events if you absolutely have to. Remembering you are not alone. You are not the only person that has felt the struggle. Having a game plan can be really helpful. I remember, excuse me, I got sober on my own for 3 weeks, white knuckling, sleeping as much as I could, crying a lot, searching and searching and searching for a counselor. And I finally found one. And I remember her saying, okay, we are going to have a relapse plan. What are you going to do if you relapse? Now, while I think this is a good idea for some people, for me, I had to say, I won't do that. And she said, why not? And I said, because if I make a plan for what I'm going to do if I relapse, right there, I just gave myself permission. I will not give myself permission to relapse because if I give myself permission, I'll do it. I'll do it. I will drink. There was no doubt in my mind. And I could see her bristle against that. And she wanted to convince me. And I watched her go through this process. And she finally said to me, I don't remember exactly, but she finally said to me, I understand. I believe you. And it makes sense. And can we keep this? Can we put this on a back burner? Is this something that we can revisit and talk about in the future? Sure. Okay. But I will not make one. I will not give myself that permission. So it's like I said, it could be a great option for some people to have a game plan. Okay, I'm going to this party. If I screw up, I'm sorry, that was a very judgmental thing to say. If I go to this party, if I go to this event and I end up drinking, here's my game plan. This is what I'm going to do. This is who I'm going to call. These are my steps to get myself back to sobriety. If that's something that you need to do, more power to you. Seriously. And that's not too much different than the game plan that I'm talking about. Having something, if you got to write it out, if you got to talk to another person and go, okay, I'm going to this event. These are the things that I don't want to do. These are the things I do want to do. However it works for you in your highest good, do it. So having that game plan, having phone a friend, whether it's somebody who knows what you're going through or not, really isn't the most important thing. Just having somebody to call to shift your focus, your perspective, um, whatever it is that you're going through. So I kind of feel like I'm a little bit preachy here, but that was the whole point of this video. I kind of decided last minute to do it and to put it up here tonight, just because in the States it is the holiday, and I think it's important for people to remember that they're not alone and that it can be a struggle um, on holidays, all social events, really. Holidays don't take the cake on alcohol. It's everywhere. And yeah, so thank you everybody for letting me be part of your day. And TCS, everydaypsychics.com, is how you can learn more about us and reach out if you want any of our services. I wish you all the best. Take care. Bye.